You've heard of the nice guy finishing last, but have you ever wondered who finishes first? It's the menace. Now don't jump to conclusions. We're not talking about being a villain or causing harm. No, we're talking about a different kind of menace. A menace that challenges the status quo, that breaks the rules not out of defiance, but for the sake of improvement. A menace that inspires change, that pushes boundaries, and that dares to dream big. Consider, for instance, the story of Steve Jobs. Yes, that's right, the man behind the Apple empire. Jobs was a menace in his own right. He didn't just follow the crowd or stick to the script. He was known for his rebellious nature, for questioning everything, for pushing those around him to think differently. He wasn't content with the ordinary, with the good enough. He wanted more. He wanted the best, and he was willing to be a menace to get it. Jobs didn't just create a company, he created a revolution. He wasn't afraid to challenge the conventional wisdom of his time, to break the rules that were holding him back. He was a menace, yes, but a menace with a vision, a menace with a purpose. And look where it led him, to the creation of one of the most successful companies in the world, to innovations that have changed the way we live our lives. Being a menace isn't about being destructive or harmful. It's about being disruptive in the best possible way. It's about challenging what we know, pushing for what we believe in, and not being afraid to rock the boat if it means moving forward. It's about standing out, not blending in. It's about being a leader, not a follower. So ask yourself this: are you ready to unleash the menace within? Are you ready to challenge the status quo, to break the rules, to push the boundaries? Are you ready to be a force for change, for innovation, for progress? So, are you ready to channel your inner menace? History is full of people who were seen as menaces, only to be recognized as visionaries later. Let's take a trip down memory lane and meet a few of these extraordinary individuals. First off, we have Mahatma Gandhi. Now you might be thinking, Gandhi, a menace? Well, to the British Empire he was. Gandhi, with his philosophy of non-violent resistance, rattled the very foundations of the British rule in India. They saw him as a threat, a menace. But what did he do? He went on to become the father of a nation, an icon of peace and freedom, proving that being a menace isn't always a bad thing. Next, let's head over to the United States during the Civil Rights Movement. There, we find Martin Luther King Jr. His dream of equal rights for all was seen as disruptive and threatening to the status quo. He was labeled a menace, arrested multiple times, and even targeted by the FBI. But did that stop him? No. He persisted, and his dream became a reality, forever changing the face of America. And then there's Albert Einstein, a menace in the world of physics. His theories were so groundbreaking, so radical, that they shook the scientific community to its core. His ideas were seen as a threat to the established understanding of the universe. But did he back down? Of course not. He continued to push boundaries and challenge norms, and in doing so, revolutionized the world of science. These individuals were seen as menaces, yes, but they were also visionaries, leaders, revolutionaries. They dared to challenge the status quo, to push boundaries, to demand change, and in doing so, they left an indelible mark on history. So, what's the takeaway here? Being seen as a menace isn't necessarily a bad thing. In fact, it could be a sign that you're onto something big, something that could change the world. So, embrace it, channel it, use it as fuel to drive you forward. These menaces made history, and so can you. Being a menace isn't just about rebellion, it's about turning the tables and changing the game. Picture this: you're at a poker game, and the stakes are high. But instead of playing by the same old rules, you decide to shake things up. You start playing with a strategy that no one has seen before, something so bold and innovative that it completely disrupts the game. That's what being a menace is all about. It's about challenging the status quo, and not just for the sake of being different, but for the sake of making a difference. Let's take a look at someone who's done exactly that. Elon Musk, a name that's become synonymous with game-changing innovation. Musk didn't just settle into the existing industries of electric cars and space travel. No, he decided to turn the tables. He looked at the electric car industry, dominated by fuel-guzzling giants, and said, "I think we can do better." He saw the space travel industry, monopolized by government agencies, and thought, why not make space travel accessible to the masses? Musk took the norms, the accepted ways of doing things, and tossed them out the window. He dared to dream bigger, to push harder, and to never take no for an answer. And look at where that's gotten him. His electric car company, Tesla, has become a household name, revolutionizing the automotive industry. His space travel company, SpaceX, is making strides towards making space tourism a reality. But being a menace, being a disruptor isn't easy. It takes courage, determination, and a whole lot of resilience. There will be naysayers, people who tell you that it's impossible, that you're just a dreamer. But remember, every great achievement was once considered impossible until someone dared to believe otherwise. It's not about causing chaos or being a rebel without a cause. It's about seeing the world not as it is, but as it could be. It's about turning the tables, flipping the script, and daring to make a difference. So, are you ready to flip the script? The power of a menace lies not in chaos, but in catalyzing change. Picture a world where everyone conformed, where everyone thought and acted the same. Sounds pretty dull, huh? Now imagine a world where individuals challenged the status quo, dared to be different, and weren't afraid to shake things up. Exciting, isn't it? That's the power of a menace. Let's use the story of Greta Thunberg as an example. A young girl from Sweden. Thunberg is not your typical menace. She's not an anarchist or a rebel without a cause. She's a menace to complacency, to the idea that one person can't make a difference. When she first started her lone protest outside the Swedish parliament, demanding more action on climate change, she was seen as a nuisance, a threat to the comfortable ignorance many enjoyed. She was just a teenager. What could she possibly know or do? But the power of a menace lies in their ability to spark change, to make people sit up and take notice. Thunberg's protest grew from a solitary act to a global movement. She's now a symbol of youth activism, demonstrating that age is no barrier to inciting change. Her speeches at the United Nations and other international platforms have thrown the spotlight on the urgency of climate change. She has disrupted the status quo, forced world leaders to confront a crisis they would rather ignore. She's a menace to indifference, a menace to inaction. But here's the thing about menaces. They're not loved by everyone. They're often misunderstood, criticized, even vilified. They're seen as disruptors, troublemakers. But it's these very qualities, their refusal to be silenced, their persistence in the face of adversity, that makes them so influential. Greta Thunberg, and countless others like her, are proof that being a menace can be a powerful force for good. They challenge us to question, to rethink, to act. They show us that the world isn't changed by those who fit in, but by those who dare to stand out. So the next time someone calls you a menace, take it as a compliment. Because remember, the world isn't changed by those who fit in, but by those who dare to stand out. It's time to stop fearing the label of menace and start embracing it. You see, there's a certain power that comes from being a menace. It's not about causing chaos or disruption for the sake of it. It's about challenging the status quo, pushing boundaries, and daring to be different. It's about questioning the norms that we've all been conditioned to accept and shaking things up when they no longer serve us or the greater good. Embracing your inner menace doesn't mean becoming a villain. It means becoming a catalyst for change. It means standing up for what you believe in, even when it's not the popular opinion. It means having the courage to take risks, to make waves, to create a ripple effect that can lead to significant change. Think about it. If everyone simply followed the rules, where would innovation come from? If everyone just accepted things as they are, how would progress be made? The truth is, the world needs menaces. It needs people who are willing to challenge, to question, to disrupt. So, how can you channel your inner menace? Start by questioning the norms. If something doesn't feel right to you, voice it. If you see an opportunity for improvement, seize it. Don't be afraid to stand up for what you believe in. Next, push the boundaries. Don't just accept things as they are. Seek to make them better. Be the person who isn't afraid to think outside the box, to venture into uncharted territory. Lastly, be unafraid to disrupt the status quo. Sometimes this is exactly what's needed to bring about positive change. Remember, being a menace isn't about causing harm. It's about provoking thought, sparking conversation, and instigating change. So, are you ready to become a menace? It's time to stop fearing the label and start wearing it as a badge of honor. Embrace your inner menace and see just how powerful you can become. You have the potential to change the world, one disruption at a time. So, are you ready to become a menace?